Good morning, everyone. At this time, I'd like to call the Board of Education meeting to order. And as you can see, we do have a quorum today. Can I have a motion and a second to approve today's agenda? Motion by Mr. Smack.
Second.
A second by Mr. Gordy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now I need a motion to enter in closed session under general provisions of Article 3-305B of the Annotated Code of Maryland for the following reasons: to discuss matters related to negotiations. Can I have a motion to enter into closed session and a second? Motion by Mr. Smack.
Second.
A second by Mr. Gordy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are now in closed session. I'm ready. Good morning, everyone. We are back in open session. A closed session was held today pursuant to general provisions of Article 3-305B of the Annotated Code of Maryland to discuss matters related to negotiations. Today I'm going to ask Mr. Tolbert to lead us in the invocation. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Tolbert, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Mr. Fronte. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for your many wonderful blessings. We thank you for this beautiful but cold winter's day. We thank you for our wonderful school system, Lord, for our staff and students, all the great things that are happening. I ask, Lord, today that you be with this board as they start this budget process, as we start to build a budget that hopefully continues to meet the needs of our students and our staff. Be with them as they go throughout the couple months of adopting it, as it goes over to the county commissioners. Be with us as we work with them to get it approved. All this ask in your precious name. Amen.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Tolbert, thank you again for the invocation.
You're very welcome.
And now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Wallace for the superintendent's report.
Good morning. Before we begin today's budget work session, I want to briefly frame the proposal that is before you. At its core, this budget is a reflection of our commitment to knowing every student by name, strength, and need. Every priority included was examined through that lens, asking how our investments directly support students in meaningful and measurable ways. I also want to assure you that the items before you were not developed in a vacuum. They are the result of extensive listening sessions over the past few months with teachers, staff, bus contractors, and other stakeholders across our district. The themes, ideas, and concerns shared during those conversations directly inform the proposal that you are going to review today. This budget reflects what we heard. A particular focus has been placed on our youngest learners. They deserve the strongest possible start, and the proposed RISE program is designed to do just that. It addresses concerns raised by both staff and some elected officials, but more importantly, it provides trauma-informed, restorative supports that meet the needs that are the developmental and emotional needs of our youngest students. I strive to be a superintendent of the people, one who listens, reflects, and leads with care. My promise has always been to make decisions in the best interests of students, and I believe this proposed budget is reflective of that commitment. Finally, I want to extend my sincere thanks to our executive team, district leadership, everyone who participated in the listening sessions and last month's public input meeting, and especially Mr. Tolbert and his team in the finance office for their thoughtful, diligent work in bringing this proposal forward. I appreciate the board's time and thoughtful consideration as we begin this very important discussion. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Ferrante.
Thank you, Dr. Wallace. And now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Tolbert and his team, who are going to present us with the FY27 proposed budget. Mr. Tolbert?
Yeah.
Is it working for you?
Is it on? Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Fronte. First of all, I want to introduce Kate Hume. I think most of you know Kate. She's our budget manager. The board appointed her on July 1st. I believe she's a Decatur High School graduate. She has two daughters also in her school system. She's a CPA, and she's doing a phenomenal job. So welcome, Kate,
We're happy
to her
to have
first
her.
official board meeting. As we start this budget process, what you see before your preliminary numbers, they're subject to change. It's early on in the process. As the board is aware, last year we revised our budget booklet to give more detail, to give more line items. Last year, both the board and the county seemed to be very happy with this new format. So we pretty much kept the format the same for FY27 proposed. So that's where we're starting this year. I want to start off with looking at state aid estimates. You have a one sheet in front of you on the top. The governor released his budget last week on Wednesday with preliminary numbers for school systems included. MSD released draft state aid on Friday. And what I did is updated these numbers based on that MSD draft release. And I'll just walk you through the different areas. It's broken down by funding area. The first column is the funding area. The second column is FY26 amounts. The third is the estimated FY27 based on the governor's budget. And then you'll see the change in the last column. And once again, this is the governor's budget. It goes to the General Assembly. They'll meet now until April, so these numbers could all change between now and April. This is what we know as of today. The foundation aid next year is going to increase by $250,528. Special education aid is going to increase by $550,342. Transportation is going to increase by $59,904. Comp ed is going down slightly, a little over $60,000 reduction. And multilingual learners is also going down slightly, about $60,751. For a net increase in those areas of $739,704. Some other areas from the state, the pre-kindergarten funding that we receive for our pre-K students, that's increasing by $683,477 next year. Concentration of poverty grants, 7 of our schools receive those grants. That money is restricted, it has to be spent at those schools for certain areas. That's going to increase by $95,728. College and Career Ready, which we receive, it's really to cover dual enrollment costs. The majority of it is that's what it's for. It's going to go up by $5,538.
Mr. Tolbert, can you just quickly, that number is going up because we have more CCR, but can you explain that the formula for what we get and then how it's run through the funding formula so we actually don't get very much?
Yeah, I was going to say this does not nearly cover the cost of what dual enrollment is costing the board. You'll see later we're asking for an increase from the local budget for dual enrollment. But because all state aid goes through a funding formula and it's wealth-based, as I've discussed with the board before, we get very little in state aid. About 20% of our budget comes from the state. And it depends on the area, but like for foundation, they look at the per pupil amount, they multiply it out by the FTEs, and we get about 15% of what that amount comes out to because it's wealth equalized. So 15% of foundation. And special ed and transportation and comp ed are a little different. We get about 40% of what the state aid say we should get for those areas. But we get very little in state aid. Overall, it's 20% of our budget. And the same thing with the concentration of poverty. No, concentration of poverty is a little different. With the personnel grant, that's a set amount per school. I think this year is $285,000 per school. That amount is fixed. But then the per pupil allocation for concentration of poverty is wealth-based, and we do not get very much money on the per pupil basis. And the same thing with National Board Certified Teachers. That's going up for $13,975 next year. That's based on 35 teachers. As you know, the blueprint says that every NBC teacher receives a $10,000 stipend when they receive the NBC certification. And it's supposed to be a 50-50 split between the counties and the state. But because of the wealth-based formula, we get about $2,200 or 22% of what we should get. So that wealth-based formula hits us in every single area.
Right. And in contrast to our neighboring counties like Somerset and Wycomico are getting 80%.
You're exactly right, Mr. Ferrante. Yep. And the blueprint coordinator, we're going to get $22,500 towards that. 3 years ago, the state decided to give each LEA some money to hire a blueprint coordinator because of all the additional workload. We chose not to hire somebody. We've picked that up internally. But the base amount for that is $150,000, and it's wealth equalized. So we get $22,500 towards our blueprint coordinator, where other counties might get the whole $150,000. So we get hit with every single area when it comes to wealth-based formula. Any questions on the state aid changes for next year?
Can you, Mr. Tolbert, can you recall, what did we get in state aid last year? Was it similar?
It was a $1,466,000
Right.
increase.
So
it's very similar to what we received last year.
It's
Yes,
like
sir.
a $90,000 change.
Yes. Yep. So what I'm going to do today is just kind of walk the board through the budget booklet that you have in front of you and just kind of highlight what's in there. And then if the board has any specific questions for Kate or someone else, Dr. Watson, the executive team could certainly answer those questions. Starting on page 1 is unrestricted revenue. And the blueprint funding is being shifted into the unrestricted budget reporting, except for concentration of poverty. For years, we've taken like pre-K, the CCR money, dual enrollment money, NBC money, kind of kept it separate under restricted. Because even though they say it's restricted, unrestricted funding, it's still restricted for reporting. You have to spend that money because you know, you're very familiar with the minimum school funding requirement under the blueprint, where it says 75% of the funding has to follow the students to the school. So we just can't take that revenue and just use it anywhere we want. But the county thought it would be more reflective if we included it in the general fund budget, so that's what we're doing this year. We've also adjusted the 26 restated amount to show that in 26, so 27 doesn't show a huge increase
Right.
because of that change. Also, transitional supplemental instruction, I didn't talk about it earlier, but in the past, we received a little bit of money for transitional supplemental instruction. That's for like our up to third grade learners who are struggling. But that's going away in 27. The state is no longer including transitional supplemental instruction in their budget. As I talked about, the blueprint funding does require 75% for all the student. We did increase tuition revenue based on trends. We upped that about $20,000 because we have seen higher than budgeted tuition for students attending our school systems. Other revenue saw a decrease from expected in FY25, so we have reduced the other revenue slightly. Technology and capital outlay are still to be determined. We're still working to come up with those amounts for capital outlay. If you remember last year, we had $180,000 included for the Bernard Intermediate School feasibility study and ed specs, and we may have some of those funds included in next year's budget too. And they'll be in future budgets when you see it. Moving on to page 2. This table shows total by object and category of the proposed FY27 expenditure budget with a comparison of totals to the FY26 approved. I do want to highlight that you'll see highlighted in gray salaries and wages because, as you know, we're still negotiating with both our teachers and with our support staff. So salary numbers are not included at this time. And also our bus contractors, any increases for bus contracts are not included because we have not had our meet and confer session with our bus contractors yet. And they are highlighted in gray because they're not updated yet. Any questions on page 2?
I have one question.
Yes.
For textbooks, does that include something outside of textbooks? Because it's a very large number and none of my kids ever come home with a textbook.
Yeah, it includes, that's just the categories as outlined by the state of Maryland that we're required to report in 13 different categories, and textbooks and supplies are one. But that has changed quite a bit. There is money for materials of instruction, which includes copy paper, art supplies, all those types of things. But also includes our one-to-one initiative. It includes our annual lease payment for our iPads in there too, which is about $1.2 million next year. That's included also, Jackie.
And curriculum, like the curriculums you follow, is that in there too or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has shifted from textbooks to like software. There's a lot of software being used now. Instead of buying textbooks, we're purchasing software that they use on their devices.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Page 3. Moving on to page 3. This is the summary of the breakdown of our 27 requests at this point in time. I just wanted to talk about the current projected increase is $5,485,071 at this point in time. And as I said earlier, it does not include negotiated salary increases, bus contractor increases, or fixed charges on any salary increases. Some specifics of what's included. The one-to-one initiative technology, we're actually increasing that by $35,990. That's to cover the additional cost of the MacBook lease. All our teachers have MacBooks. In 26, that was funded by a buyback. We sold the old MacBooks, and that covered most of the lease payment. And this year, we don't have that revenue, so we're going to have to ask for an increase of $35,990. Projected health insurance increase is 16.8%. Right now, that is a placeholder. I don't want everybody to leave here and say it's going to be 16.8% because I don't know for sure. We've had initial meetings with the Health Benefits Committee. There's just some initial estimates. We're hoping that number is going to be lower, so it may go down some. But
Yeah,
right now,
so-
we're using 16.8%. I hope so
Yeah.
too, Mr. Fonte.
When will we get that final number, Mr. Tolbert?
Well, the commissioners will approve the final increase, and that'll be in mid-March. And we have to notify Care First by April 1st of any changes we're making to the plan. So it'll be finalized mid-March by our county commissioners, and we'll know then. And if for some reason that's lower, if it comes in at 10%, our ask will be less than 2.7.
Sure.
We won't get to 2.7.
Yeah, it'll be reduced.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Pre-K 3 positions, it includes 2 teachers and 2 EAs at Pocomoke Elementary School. Those positions were funded by Pre-K expansion grant in the past. That grant can no longer be used for those positions, so we're asking for $300,000 for those positions in FY27.
Mr. Tolbert, if I can just elaborate
Sure.
a little bit on that. Those pre-K positions that we're talking about that were funded through the pre-K expansion, we will be writing a pre-K expansion grant for our North End schools because we still do have the potential to expand there. These positions are in our Pocomoke area schools. For our board members that are familiar with this or familiar with the area, Pocomoke is a childcare desert. Childcare essentially doesn't exist. I believe there's one childcare, very, very small church-based center in Pocomoke. Other than that, it is literally a desert. There is childcare, organized childcare just does not exist. These are classrooms that we established through the pre-K expansion. We have looked specifically at the class sizes at Pocomoke Elementary. Unfortunately, this is not something that we can absorb. Should it have been something we could have absorbed, we would not be including this in our budget. However, if you look at the enrollment numbers in Pocomoke, they would probably surprise you because I think some folks think that those are small schools. Their enrollment would prove differently. Not getting these two positions, and I say two, it's two teachers and two EAs, is going to have a significant impact on our group of most neediest students in our district. So it was important to our team, as well as, like I said earlier, meeting the goals of our school district of making sure that every child is reading by third grade. These classrooms are essential. So I just wanted to share that.
So just to clarify, these positions exist, but the funding from the state no longer exists, and we want to keep the positions because of needs in Pocomoke Elementary School. So
Yes.
this is not additional teachers or educational assistants. This is keeping what currently exists. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. You are exactly correct.
Thank you.
And Mr. Tolbert, we, just for the audience and people who are watching, we look to every avenue to try to get grants for these positions if they are available, correct?
Yes, we do. Yeah,
Thank you.
we're constantly looking for grants. The next item, summer and after-school salaries, $200,000. If you remember, last year we had a summer request in 26. We applied for a Donnie Williams grant, and we actually received that grant for $200,000 in 26. And we actually reduced that request to the county in May when we received notice we got the grant. We're going to apply for a summer grant this year, and if we do get that grant, then we'll reduce it to $200,000 again.
It'll reduce our budget by that
Yes.
amount. Yep, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, Mr. Buchanan.
Thank you. Vince, on the grants that we typically apply for, can you
Bless
tell
you.
us, bless you, can you tell us 1-year grant, 2-year grant, 5-year grant? What are they traditionally, year to year?
Well, it depends on the grant. Some grants are like a 3-year grant, like our after-school, summer school grants that get through 21st century. Other grants are like year to year, like Title I and Title II. They're awarded every year through the federal government and then through the state, so they're more of a year-to-year type thing.
This specific grant is year to year.
Yeah, Donnie Williams is year-to-year.
It's a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill, can you speak in here? Pull it closer. You still cool?
Okay,
Okay,
I'm fine.
thanks.
Thank you, Vince.
Welcome. Yep. Next, we're asking for an increase in substitute pay. Right now, we're at $15 an hour for our substitutes, and we're trying to stay competitive with our surrounding school systems. So we're asking to go to $17.25 an hour, which puts us pretty even with Wycomico County and higher than Somerset. That's going to cost about $175,000 in 27. The next item is bus assistance on all elementary school buses. Dr. Wallace met with the leadership of our bus contractors, I believe, like a month ago. And one of the things that was expressed to Dr. Wallace was the need for those aides on those elementary school buses. I don't know if you want to elaborate or not on that, Dr. Wallace.
Yeah, I can elaborate on that. As I've had a few listening sessions, one with our bus driver leadership and then one with our randomly selected panel of bus drivers. And in both of those panels, as you know, and just like we just talked about those pre-K3 positions, we have a lot of pre-K 3 and 4 students who are getting on buses. Anyone who's familiar with a pre-K 3 student, many of their little legs aren't actually like long enough yet to actually step all the way up on the bus without assistance. And if you just remember back to any 3-year-olds in your life and even 4-year-olds, they're little people who with budding brains and lots of energy. And so throughout our budget, you'll see different things that also address specifically school safety. This is one of those things that really is impacting school safety. We need to consider it from all angles. There's some specific things that I could discuss with you at a later date, but specifically this was a big safety need from them. I talked with Dr. Apt and Ms. Heiser, who's in charge of transportation. They validated that this was a serious concern on our buses. Our bus drivers are asked to operate a giant piece of machinery with a whole busload of students behind them and other interesting factors around. And you may have seen we've been putting out some bus safety posts around drivers, because they also have things that are out of their control while they're driving the bus. But this is one thing that's within our control, and I think it was a really important ask and very wise of them to share.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Gordy.
Mr. President, is it, there's no doubt the need exists. I have had the good fortune of driving a school bus full of those little people from time to time. Is there any state funding, any state guidance as to whether or not this should happen? We'll give you $2.14 if you do this. Anything from the state?
No,
No.
unfortunately not.
We're not the first school system to do this. Other school systems have these assistants on buses in elementary levels, correct?
I'm not sure what other school systems are doing. I know that we have bus assistants on our buses now, especially if there's a special education bus, we have them on there. But this would have them on. And I would expect that other school systems are experiencing the same type of issues with the pre-K3 students. But I don't know unless you know specifically if they've done something with their.
Yeah, no, I don't know specifically. I was just going to speak to the fact that we do have them on some buses now, but there was definitely a large concern, and I would agree in talking with those bus drivers that all of them who have the pre-K3 really do need that. And so this proposal was put together by transportation specifically to fill that gap.
We also have more attendance for pre-K3 and pre-K4, and that's growing. So
Yes, it is.
you're having to take care of a lot more students.
Great point, Ms. Fronte.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
So this is specifically just for elementary, not BIS, not the middle school, not the high school. These aides will only be on elementary school buses?
Yes.
The next item is additional RISE program for elementary. This is a program, we have one in the high schools now. Am I fading out?
Just pull a little closer, see if it helps you out. Might be okay. We'll get you a new one. Get you a fresh mic.
Thank you, Carrie. I never talk long enough to wear out a microphone, so I'm kind of surprised. But anyway, yeah, the additional RISE program, we have one at the high school and middle school level. We've had it for years. It's been very successful. We have some students who have some issues that could benefit from this program. And what we're attempting to do is to serve those kids in our school system, keep them here, as opposed to place them in an out-of-county placement situation. Whereas we've discussed before, if one student goes for out-of-county placement with a residency involved, it could be $150,000 plus per student. So even though $600,000 seems like maybe a high number, you get 3 or 4 of those kids out of the county, and we're going to spend that. And so this is to help those kids, keep them in our county, and to service their needs here with our teachers, with our staff. And Dr. Weiss, you may want to elaborate on that. I'm not an educational expert, but
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Tolbert. This, again, is something from our listening sessions and honestly from our Monday morning visits in each of our schools, and from listening to our coordinators as well as all of our teachers and support staff. They all spoke to this, a need. Our youngest learners are coming to us with more and more needs, unfortunately. And emotionally, they're not regulated. Well, look at me with my mic. This never happens. Unfortunately, at that age, their brains are not as well developed as they are when they're a little bit older. And they are experiencing some significant challenges in our classrooms that unfortunately cause a disruption for all learners. Obviously, we want to keep all of our kids in the least restrictive environment. And mental health and trauma-informed instruction is literally, it's a desert here on the Eastern Shore. The Eastern Shore superintendents are in talks about bringing some different organizations in to sort of help fill that gap. That would come at a cost as well. And what we found as a district, and I'm certainly not going to name the specific, but we've had organizations organizations come in before and work with our current RISE program. And what we found is that our staff has excellent training and we found more success when we run the program ourselves. So certainly this is something that could be contracted out, but we have found, and I don't know how long, Bess, you might remember how many years we've done this ourselves at the middle and high school level. Yeah, about 5 years. So we have 5 strong years of data to show that we can do this ourselves. And you can imagine a parent being asked to send their kid to a residential program at the age of 5. No one wants their 5-year-old to go away anywhere, right? And we feel like we can provide these intensive services and get them back into their classroom with their peers with as little disruption as possible. And again, this is even something that I've seen some conversation from elected officials. I've had some small conversation, Dawn's scheduling some more conversation, but that will address this challenge right now that our school system's facing.
Yes, Jackie?
2 questions. One, is this RISE, is this like a Worcester County specific or state driven? And then 2, has there been a shown need that you've actually sent kids to residential prior, that this is validated for this extra money? Like, has that been happening in recent
We
years?
absolutely send kids to other placements. We also send them to IOP, which is we have part day and full day. I'm saying that correctly, yeah. Which is intensive outpatient therapy as well. And so unfortunately, we also have to help provide transportation. There comes a lot of cost even just besides the treatment. So we absolutely are spending money on these things. But I think right now, we're looking to close the gap on that. But more than that, we're looking to close the gap on these big emotions that these kids are having in our classrooms, and maybe not to the level of even needing IOP, or parents aren't willing to say, I want my kid to be seen, or I want my kid to leave school full day or half day. This would really be filling both of those gaps. And we definitely have the data to show that this is needed in our district.
And then is it a Worcester thing, or was this like a state thing?
RISE is our own program.
Okay.
So there are, like I said, we used to use, and I would not want to name them because I wouldn't want to name out a company, but we used to contract these services out. Other districts actually are still using them. I even had this conversation last week about sharing what our actual program setup is, because it includes a lot of therapy, and this one specifically, and Bess can speak more to it if she'd like. But this has specifically been structured for our youngest learners, because what works for 4th through 8th and then 9 through 12 is very different than the intensive therapy, play therapy, other sorts of therapy that our students need when they're small, because they can't learn by saying, just tell me about your feelings, Mr. Ferrante. You don't even know at those ages how to express those. You don't have the vocabulary. Bess, is there any more you want to contribute to it? And you'll have to grab a mic.
So you asked if there's other data to support this. It's actually the law. It's called least restrictive environment, and it's IDEA. We're required to provide the least restrictive environment for kiddos. You also asked a question about students in the past. We did have a student last year that was placed in a non-public residential treatment center, and we were able to bring him back and place him in our middle school RISE program, or high school RISE program, and he's doing quite well right now. That bill alone was over $100,000 for educational and $300,000 for residential portion. We don't have those schools on the shore, and right now we have 2, maybe 3 that could possibly go into this program. And if you multiply 400,000 times 3, 600,000 is much less than that with that bill.
I was just curious if this has happened recently prior.
So you're required to place them in their different LREs, and once you get to that most restrictive LRE, that's when you're starting to look at a non-public placement by law, and we have to provide that as a public school system.
Question.
Yeah, Mr. Buchanan?
Excuse me. If we don't meet, this is purely informational,
Yeah.
for the people out there. If we don't meet the least restrictive environment, okay, and a parent challenges that, and it's proven that we didn't, if we did, what are the penalties on that?
Huge. Legal implications and lots of lawsuits.
Would we lose state funding on that?
We could lose a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, we could lose
So
a lot.
this is very, very important.
This is proactive
that we meet,
instead of reactive.
the needs of these
We're getting
things.
ahead of
Okay.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bess. Any other questions regarding the RISE program? Thank you. Mr. Tolley?
Sure. And also, we're asking for $300,000 for increase in dual enrollment costs. As I said earlier, those costs continue to increase. The blueprint requires us to pay those dual enrollment costs. It's a great thing for our students and for our parents, but it does come with a cost in the school system as those fees continue to go up and the number of kids participating continues to increase.
Yeah, and just to add a little bit to that, the spirit of the blueprint was that students can earn an AA degree while they are in high school, dually enrolled with the high school and university, and graduate with 2 degrees. Unfortunately, as we've heard, and Dr. Andes talks a lot to this, and we appreciate the things that he has to share about this as well with his knowledge and experience, it is another unfunded mandate that comes through, because as we talked about earlier, this funding runs through it. The spirit of the blueprint was to get an AA degree. Every school system in the state of Maryland has restricted the number of dual enrollment students can take each semester, because even the systems that are getting the highest percentage cannot afford to pay for an AA degree. The funding just is there. I am working with Dr. Casey at Warwick Community College. We have met. We have future meetings that we will be having about this. But unfortunately, they also have a budget that they have to meet, and they also have regulations around the things that they have to charge. And so we've tried to get really, really creative. But she also has a college that she needs to run, and she needs to make sure that her budget numbers are going to match. And she probably matches my energy the best of probably any person I've met. But at the same time, I do acknowledge the restraints and constraints that she has as a college president. So I'm hopeful. But again, even with this still isn't going to, I don't believe, completely cover it. And in this, as a superintendent, it is my goal for kids to be able to get an AA degree. It's been my goal since I was a principal. We actually wrote that formula before the blueprint even happened. And so I'm hopeful that our agreement with Warwick may be able to get a little bit better, but it's not going to close the gap at all. And this is still just going to sort of be chipping away.
Question?
Yes, Dr. Andes.
Universities have 2 bills they send you. They send you one, a tuition bill, and then they send you a fee bill. And sometimes the fees are higher than the tuition. So my question, just for clarification, is when we have a dual enrollment student at Warwick Community College or Salisbury University, are we paying the tuition or the fees, or are we paying both? Because sometimes, as I said, the fees are higher than the tuition.
Yeah, I'll take it a step further. The answer to your question is we are paying the tuition, we are paying the fees, and the law of the blueprint also requires us to pay for any assessments as well as books. So we are paying tuition, fees, which has been an interesting conundrum across the state. Warwick and Salisbury have been great partners. They have not hiked up their fees, because that has happened other places, because they've sort of used the balance between we'll charge you less for dual enrollment, but we'll charge you more for fees, books, and then any sort of assessment or test that they have to take, software that has to be purchased, all of that we have to pay for by law.
So in other words, we're footing the whole bill, and as Mr. Tolbert pointed out about 20 minutes ago, that funding is run through the wealth formula, so consequently we get the least amount of money to help support our students. The blueprint is mandating, we all want our students to graduate with an AA degree, or graduate, so forth and so on, and a high school diploma at the same time, but the state is not providing those fees. Universities are not willing to waive the fee structure, so to say, because our students, they don't go to campus. They're not taking advantage of all the facilities on campus. They're not doing all those kinds of things. They're not taking up a parking space, so forth and so on. So I don't understand why colleges and universities have to go ahead and charge those fees when in actuality is our students are not using any of those facilities other than maybe the technology support because they're on some kind of learning management system. And in some cases, we provide the instructor.
through.
So we provide, I'm sorry, I'm going off on this. We provide the instructor, we pay the fees, we support the student, we provide the student with space in the media center or someplace else to do the dual enrollment class online, so forth and so on. In essence, we do it all, and the community college or Salisbury University gets to count that student. So when they go about asking for state aid, they're counting that student. Well, why aren't they giving us that money?
It's a good question, Dr. Anderson. I'm going to put you on the negotiating team.
I'm there. I'm willing to go.
I have just a couple questions.
Yeah,
My
make sure you
daughter-
speak to the mic. Thank you.
Okay, I'm afraid to
Just
touch it
pull-
since I
no,
dropped
pull.
it. Okay, so my daughter utilized this before she graduated last year and left with a bunch of credits to take to her college, so I support this. I think it's a great thing. 2 questions. I heard you say some places restrict them, and if we do that, what's the number? And just a ballpark, because I know they all cost different. What would we say this extra 300, how many more students or classes is this, would you say, would get us?
Well, this is just going to cut into other areas where, to answer your last question first, this is just going to cut into, we're actually having to take money from other places to fulfill the bill. So this won't really allow us to expand. It will just allow us to not have to pull from other places and piece together and take from other programs in our school district to pay this bill. We are allowing, I believe right now, we are allowing students to take, I'd have to remember what it was. I know Kate might be looking it up. I want to say it's 2 per semester, 4 per year that we pay for. We are restricting that, and every other district in the state of Maryland. We kind of agreed, and I believe that's what was agreed to, something like that. But I could get you exactly what it is for
To
sure.
keep it fair across the board.
Yeah,
Right.
across the district, across the state, we kind of agreed to something, and everybody's kind of stuck to that, which I believe is 2 and 2. Technically, a student, we would allow them to take 4 and 0. Probably, I think it's 2 and 2, but I'll check for you.
So basically, this will help supplement what you're already paying, not add new credits. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, back to you, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Ms. Bronte. The remaining increase on the sheet is $871,829, and that's due to readjustments and realignments of expenditures for historical trends and projected changes. You'll see them as we go through the categories, but I wanted just to give you a brief breakdown now. So the increases are in admin for readjustments and realignments is $16,908, and it's really to cover the increased cost of office supplies and meeting supplies, and also subscriptions and due increases and contractual services increases. Under mid-level and instructional support, it's $89,771 increase. That's to cover increased software, increased postage costs, increases in office supplies and meeting supplies. Textbooks and MOI, $76,317 increase, and that's to cover increased materials of instruction, meeting supplies, computer supplies, music equipment, and also office supplies for student activities. Under other instructional costs, that increases $16,409, and that's increases in internet costs and also increases in athletic equipment. Special ed is increased in $5,900, and that's really to cover increases for contractual services. We continue to have to contract out for services such as speech therapy, physical therapy, and those types of things. Because we just can't hire enough people. Those positions are working contractually for agencies and getting 95 plus an hour, and they can work a very flexible schedule. They work a couple days a week if they want. So that's what we're competing with, trying to hire those people. Under student personnel, we're increasing at $1,100 really because of office supplies increases. Health is increasing $13,300, and that's medical supplies. Transportation is going up $79,437. That includes a vehicle replacement for student transportation and also increased costs for field trips. Under operation and plant, that's increasing $267,102. That's for increases in contractual services, supplies, and replacement vehicle. And maintenance of plant is going to increase $229,450, and that's for contractual services and for supplies. And under fixed, that's increasing $76,136, and that's related to recertification, tuition reimbursement expenses, and also just insurance costs are going up. And you'll see those in our different categories as we walk through them. If you move on now, our first category, or page 4. Sorry. Unassigned fund balance. If you know, every year the board brings a small balance forward in our surplus. Last year it was $567,011. We're proposing to use that surplus from FY25 as a revenue source in FY27 to avoid us having to make additional budget cuts and reductions. It's very similar to what we've done for the past several years, and it's, like I said, $567,011. On page 5, I think the board is very familiar with the blueprint by now, but I just included this page to show the 5 pillars and what's included in each pillar of the blueprint law. Does anybody have any questions on the blueprint pillar? No? Okay. Now we start to get into our budget categories. On page 6 is the category administration. This has been adjusted for historical trends to adjust the FY27 budget amounts, the actual expenditures we're seeing over the past 3 years. Some main changes to the budget and admin are subscriptions and dues costs have increased, office supplies, and also meeting supply costs have increased. Any questions on administration? Moving on to page 9, instructional support. Increases in this category are based on historical trends also to adjust FY27 budgeted amounts. The main changes to the budget are office supplies have increased, postage, software, increasing costs for software. And we're also including some additional dollars to purchase a time and attendance software. It basically be a swipe system. It will allow us to increase our efficiency and better track employee time. So that's in that proposal budget for FY27. Also, computer supplies and meeting supplies and costs have gone up. Continuing on to page 12, instructional salaries and wages. No changes for salary increases due to ongoing negotiations, as we talked about before. Some changes that are included in instructional salaries are the full summer and after-school programs of the $200,000 that we talked about earlier. If we don't get the Donnie Williams grant, the pre-K positions are included in instructional salaries that we talked about, and also the increase in substitute pay that we talked about are included in instructional salaries. Moving on to page 14, textbooks and classroom supplies. We continue to adjust our budget in this category to align with actual expenditures. The overall increase of $23,997, it is based on trends and projections. There's also a small increase in technology, 1-to-1, to cover the MacBook lease that we talked about earlier. There's also increases for supplies, such as computer and music equipment, and also an increase in meeting supplies. Any questions on textbooks and supplies?
Not textbooks and supplies, but like the home economics. If I'm not, maybe I'm reading this wrong, but that's a large jump for home economics? On page 14?
Oh, it's just general MOI.
The lines.
It's just the total line item. It's not the individual home economics.
Oh, okay, I was like,
Yeah.
what are we spending? Okay, thank you.
That's a lot of stoves and refrigerators, isn't it? No.
Like, yeah, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yep. So page 16, other instructional costs. Increases there are for officials' fees. They continue to increase. It's hard to get reps these days, I guess, you know. Cleaning and reconditioning athletic equipment, dual enrollment of courses included in other instructional costs. And also internet costs continue to go up for connectivity for our students and for our staff. Page 18 starts special education category. The main increases in here are for the new RISE program that we talked about, with the positions and the contractual services and materials and furniture and professional development. The only thing that's not included in the RISE program, the 602 in this category, is fixed charges on the salaries that we're going to pay and that's to $124,800, and that's included in fixed charges category.
Question on the RISE program.
Yes.
Do we have space?
I understand that space has been identified, but Dr. Wallace.
We've identified space at a school that would
Okay.
easily transition. Right now, the RISE programs are in our Snow Hill area schools,
Right.
and so this would be in our Snow Hill area school. That way, students can transition if needed.
Just just asked the question to make sure we had space for the program because our schools are really crowded.
Yeah. I would hope that they would identify that before they.
I
implement
assume, but I
program.
needed to ask the question, do we have space someplace?
It's a great
Other than
question.
adding another portable classroom, which we
Right.
don't want to do.
No.
The next category is on page 22, student personnel services, and really you're just asking for an increase in office supplies because of the increased inflation cost. On page 24, student health, there's increases included for medical supplies. That covers costs for like EpiPens, AEDs, and those kind of things, and also supplies for our school nursing offices are included in there.
Just as a point of reference, we operate one of the largest health systems in Worcester County.
That's true.
We have usually, as if I recall correctly, and someone can correct me, we usually have about 65 to 70,000 visits to the health suite every year. So we operate one of the largest health systems in Worcester County.
We do. That's a great point, Dr. Andy.
Thank you.
On page 26 is the student transportation category. That includes the bus assistance for elementary school buses that we talked about earlier, increases for field trips, and one additional vehicle for transportation. On our last page of the budget, I'll show you as a listing of our fleet, and we do have an aging fleet of vehicles. We want to make sure those vehicles that are transporting our students are safe, and that's why we're asking for that one replacement vehicle for transportation.
And just to echo what Mr. Tolbert said at the very beginning of the presentation, the increase in state aid for transportation is $60,000. $60,000 will not help us address all of our student transportation needs and address the needs of our contractors. Up until 1981, the state paid for all transportation costs in the state of Maryland. So in other words, local school system would just submit a bill, so to say, to the state, and the state would pay for all transportation costs. That changed over the years, and definitely 91, a lot of those costs were sent to the locals, and now we have significant costs on the locals, but because $60,000 in new state aid will not address the needs of our bus contractors, nor the needs of our entire school system when it comes to student transportation. Thank you.
Vince,
Yes.
you said a lot of the vans are age. What is this? What model are they? What year are they?
We have a listing on page 75 of the of your document, last page, Mr. Shockley. Mr. Smack, I'm sorry.
You can get to it. Go ahead. You can keep going.
You sure?
Sure.
Okay, all right. Okay, we go with transportation. Operation of plant is on page 29. These are changes due to historical trends and projections again, rising costs for contractors and supplies. There's also a replacement vehicle included in this category. Those maintenance vehicles are on the road nonstop, 5 days a week, 365 a year, and we need to make sure we have those vehicles current so they're not broken down. That means the guys can't get on the road to fix things that need to be fixed in the schools. Maintenance of plant on page 32 also has changes due to historical trends and projections, and also rising costs for contractors and supplies. Historically, maintenance and operations have been underfunded. I'm sure Dr. Andrews remember that from when he was here. Maintenance never had enough money. We do have aging schools with aging infrastructure, with aging systems that need to be maintained, and that's why we're asking for increases in those areas. Any questions on those areas?
I have a question. Vince, do we have, with this polar vortex, the cold weather that's hitting all of us, and our electric bills are, I don't know about you folks out there, but my electric bill just kind of skyrocketed, and I can't wait till we get the next electric bill based on our polar vortex. Do we have sufficient funding to address needs in terms of the cost of fuel, electricity, so forth and so on, to make sure we're able to keep our buildings warm in the wintertime and keep them cool in the summer.
Well, a lot depends on what happens in the next few months. I think we're going to be okay. What's really helped us right now is that we've done a lot of improvements over the past few years with energy management systems, where now Sam Slakem, our maintenance supervisor, and his crew can control temperatures by their iPads. So when a building's going to be unoccupied, they can go in and set the temperature down or up, depending on the season. And also, we've done some lighting projects in some of our schools that's also helped bring down the cost of electricity. So that's kind of helped offset some of the increase. But I think as these costs continue to increase, we're going to have to add to utilities, especially what's going on with the new data centers coming on in Maryland. It's going to take more and more demand that I don't think Maryland's prepared for, in my honest opinion. So I think this rate's going to continue to increase, and we probably will have to ask for more money for utilities in the future.
Yeah, Mr. Buchanan?
Is there some snow removal built into our current budget?
Yeah, we used more than what we have in the budget yesterday.
Yeah. And
Yeah, and we did add some money for snow removal this year, but exact amount, can you remember?
I saw it.
So it's not nearly enough. I remember back in 2009 and 10, we spent $100,000 on snow removal, and I think we had like $2,000 budgeted. Because you don't budget for that because we don't always get snow. But that year we got hit several times, and we had to actually pay people to clear the roofs off because we were afraid the roofs were going to collapse with the amount of snow that was on them. It was $100,000 in 1 year for snow removal. So we do have those years, and we don't have enough for snow removal, Dr. Andy.
Mr. Buchanan?
I'm sorry, Vince, can we get back to page 29?
Sure.
Just for clarification on two things. Chief Safety Officer, .3 on positions, and also secretaries, .3. How was that done?
Well, with the chief safety officer, it's just an allocation of actually Dr. Records' time this year because he oversees academics, but he also oversees safety as part of his role. We started allocating a portion of that safety officer, I think when Steve Price was doing the job many years ago. We kind of kept that same allocation. So it's just towards a portion that's related to safety, the operation of plant. So .7 is recorded in admin, and .3 is recorded in operation of plant.
Gotcha. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Oh, it's on page 6. Oh, do we have to go back to page 6?
On page 37, fixed charges, we're increasing for teacher recertification, tuition reimbursement expenses, and also for insurance expenses. And also includes the RISE program for the fixed charges that we talked about, and also the health insurance at 16.8%. That is double last year's estimate. But like I said, that's only an estimate this time. We're hoping it's going to be lower. So right now we're using 16.8% for health insurance.
That's the majority of the increase.
Yes, definitely. $2.7 million of it, yes, sir. On page 38 is capital planning. Right now, we're not proposing any changes in capital planning. On page 40 is a supplemental request, and this is the retirement contribution for our employees that are in the employees' pension system. We've always budgeted for that. We send the bill over to the county pays on our behalf. They always have. And this is the expected increase we anticipate next year for that cost.
Just to point out, historically, at one point in time, the state paid for all retirement. So this almost $1 million at one point in time was paid for by the state.
Wow. On page 41, that starts our restricted grants. The first page on page 41 is just a summary of each of our restricted grants for next year compared to this year. Also shows the FTEs with each grant that are currently being paid out of those grants. And that goes all the way through page 73. Behind the summary page is each grant with FY26 budget, FY27 estimated. It's broken down by object, and also at the bottom has the expiration date of each grant for the board's information. I'm not going to walk through every single grant, but if you have any questions as you look through them, let me know.
Got it. Just one thing.
Yeah, Mr. Buchanan?
Vince, just for clarification for the people that are watching, definition of a unrestricted versus restricted grant.
Well, restricted grant is a grant that you receive. You can apply for it usually. It's restricted in its use. You have to use it the way it was intended. There's no flexibility. I just can't take and get a grant for equipment and use it for salaries. Or for salaries, use it for equipment. It has to be used for the way it was written in the grant.
And those grants that are restricted, there is an audit in the sense of how the money is spent.
Yes, we have an audit every year. We have an overall audit of all of our books.
Right.
And we also have a separate federal programs audit that audits all the restricted money. Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
I have one question.
Sure.
Yes.
For the safety grants, could you just explain what they are and what they were used for or are going to be used for?
For the safety grants, those are grants mostly that come from the state of Maryland, the IAC. There's allocation every year that school systems can apply for. And I believe it's in the narrative on 72. It talks about in the narrative about the safety grants and how it was used. If you look on page 72, this is specifically talking about, I think, what they're going to do with it in the coming year. But I know, like in prior years, like we used it for some safety improvements. I don't know if we want to talk specifically about what we did with it, Dr. Wallace, because it was kind of a, we didn't want to talk.
Yeah, I mean, the SRO grant is, I don't want to say it's sort of a pass-through grant, but we use that for extra duties of our SROs, and that money goes to the sheriff's office to pay the sheriff's deputies, like games, all those sorts of things, performances, everything like that. Then there's a school safety grant, the SSFG grant, and then there's the SSGP grant. In the past, we've used those to upgrade our camera systems. Right now, we've also used, I'm trying to think specifically of something ran across my mind that we used it for.
We
but-
used quite a bit for hardening the target last year, but I don't really think we want to talk about what we
Yeah,
did too.
we can discuss that.
Yeah.
I can share that with you, yes, because some of that we aren't sharing publicly for safety reasons. And then we're continuing each year to reevaluate when we get that money. Unfortunately, like all of our cameras are on sort of different cycles, so it seems to be a nice way to use that money to continue upgrading them. But Dr. Record and myself can share some closed session. Perhaps we can do a closed session if we want right after, and we can discuss some specific things with the board around that. I think that might be productive for everyone to hear.
Okay.
Does that help,
Question?
Jackie?
Yes, Dr. Andes.
Page 448, is that career and technology education grant, is that the Perkins funds?
I believe it is.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes,
my point is,
it is.
those come from federal dollars passed through. That number hasn't changed for years. Despite the rhetoric that we want to support career and technology education, that Perkins Fund money has not changed significantly. I think the last year in 2012, it was about $150,000. So $250,000 commitment to Worcester Tech for career and technology education simply doesn't meet our needs at all. Thank you.
Any other questions on grants?
You're good.
Also, can I introduce Linda Johnson is an audience. She's our new grants accountant. We were able to recruit Linda from Somerset County Public Schools. She was a CFO over there for 10 years. She has lots of other experience. She's a CPA, and she's been a great addition to the office, in our finance office.
Welcome, Linda. Thank you.
The other thing I want to point out is on page 55 is McKinsey-Vento. We're receiving an estimate of $22,298. That simply does not pay to fulfill all the requirements of transportation of students who are in transition or what we've commonly referred to as homeless. Under McKinsey-Vento, we're required to provide transportation of a student who's deemed to be homeless back to the original school. So as an example, making it up, if they happen to be a family at Diakonia, but the student was enrolled at Snow Hill Elementary School, we have to provide transportation for that student, if the parent wants to go from Diakonia in West Ocean City to Snow Hill Elementary School, as opposed to having the student enroll in Ocean City Elementary School. It's a determination made by the parent. $22,298 simply isn't, it's not going to cover the entire cost of that federal law. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Andes. Mr. Tolbert.
Yes, and the last page, on page 75, is a vehicle listing that Mr. Smack was asking about earlier. I just list all our current vehicles. It shows the year, the make, the assigned school department that they're being utilized in. So you can see we have as old as 2003. So there are some older vehicles in our fleet, and we do need to have some money budgeted every year to start replace those vehicles.
Right. And just so the audience knows, Mr. Tolbert, we kind of transitioned more to a leasing vehicle in the some of the previous years. Prior to that, we were purchasing vehicles. So you'll see that most of the fleet that's aged is vehicles that are older.
That's correct, Mr. Fronte. And we're analyzing leasing versus purchasing, and we maybe do more purchasing in the future. We're still analyzing that with Dr. Waz and the executive team.
Yeah, we've looked at it, and it just depends on what the vehicle is being used for. If it's being used for daily use, specifically taking students perhaps from Diakonia to Pocomoke Elementary School, we have situations where we're transporting students even further than that on a daily basis. But it really just depends on the vehicle, because we have been looking at what's the cost savings benefit on that, because it doesn't always benefit us to do the lease. Sometimes it does. So we'll be making a case-by-case decision based on mileage. And Mr. Donnie, Mr. Smack, the ones that we were specifically speaking to, you can see are listed by transportation, 2017. That's an older vehicle when it comes to transporting students back and forth, sometimes multiple times a day, because sometimes they could even have to come to the technical high school. So potentially it's a lot of transportation miles on those vehicles.
Those are vans, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So that kind of completes my presentation. This is where we are as of today. We do have another budget work session scheduled for February 3rd if the board decides to have that session. The board is scheduled to adopt their proposed budget on February 17th at the board meeting. Once we adopt our proposed budget on February 17th, it will be sent to the county government by the first week in March. We will go over in, I think it's the first or second week in April, and have a budget work session with the county commissioners to review our budget. The county will have several budget work sessions in May to reconcile their budget, and then we'll find out probably in early June what our final appropriation will be from the county commissioners. That's kind of the process going forward.
Right. Any questions, Mr. Tolbert? I do want to thank you and your team. This is a very thorough and very detailed budget that you've given us, and all the information, if you look at it and you review it, you can find it, because it's here. So
Thank you, Ms. Fronte. You're welcome.
I
It's
do have
definitely
one
a team
question,
effort.
sorry.
yes, go ahead.
Just reviewing this last night and then listening to today, I did hear Dr. Wallace mention the RISE has a component of school safety. And then I asked about the grants, but I don't see a line item or a page or anything that is dedicated to school safety. Is that typically not on here, like a dedication to school safety improvements? And if not, why?
We don't specifically have a page just for safety improvements. We do have safety listed under operation of plant, I believe, that we do spend money for different things related to safety, like software, like equipment, those kind of things. If we decided to ask for something specifically as a project, it would probably go on a small project list to our county commissioners to be funded outside if it was something that was substantial. I mean, $100,000, $50,000 would probably go on the small project list. Something bigger would go on the CIP, Capital Improvement Program list.
Is that
so-
small project something that's, it's not listed at this point, correct?
The county is, I think, scheduled to adopt that in March, middle of March, so we'll find out what we...
So we can share offline with you
Yeah.
what specific, because there was several specific safety things submitted, and we'll discuss them online since they haven't publicly shared that list yet.
Okay, that was my question. So if I had a recommendation, say it enclosed about that. Like if I
If you
wanted
have any
something added to-
recommendations for things, you're welcome to say them right now. But it may benefit you to hear what we've submitted that they have not published. You know, I want to be respectful of their timeline, so it may help you. It may help you to hear it first. That's up to you.
Okay, the main thing was just, and I hear this a lot, I mean, I'll say it a million times probably, I have 3 kids, they've been in the schools, and school safety is my thing. I just, like, I see a line item for furniture for RISE, but maybe I would prefer to see a line item for new radios to make sure that all the SROs have radios that are capable of properly communicating with each other and the law enforcement around here. I know that that is a need.
Dr. Record, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we've replaced all of our radio systems. The SROs have they have their county radios that they communicate with each other. That's separate from our system, but I believe that we've either updated or are almost finished updating every radio in our district as far as our staff people.
I heard the request around the SROs. That, to my knowledge, that would be when they're hired as a Worcester County deputy, that would be shared and provided with them as part of their equipment when they sign on. I know with our school staff, we've done a tremendous, from the Sheriff's Department. I know with our school staff, we've done an excellent job in upgrading and securing our school radios that are used, to your point, the SRD would also receive one, but in and around the school, that they're secure, that they're on a secure channel, and that they can't be infiltrated through like any type of advanced radio transmission knowledge. So if you're talking within a school and you're on one radio to another, you're on a secure line that only those people that are registered and logged onto that channel would be able to hear and listen and communicate. So my understanding is right now we're in the best position we've been in a very long time.
Okay, thanks.
Statement.
We did use safety grant money, specifically, I believe, maybe Stronger Connections and another grant to secure that funding for those.
Correct, yes.
Mr. Buchanan?
Question in regard to school safety. Vince, under the safety grant for school resource officers, approximately $100,000, that could be used for an example like new radios?
Well, we use that, as Dr. Wallace said earlier, to reimburse the county for coverage from the deputies for sporting events, for other things that they do for the school system. We receive the money from the grant. The county provides the services and then invoices us, and we pay them directly. So that's what that $98,000 is being used for currently.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to our Sheriff's Department, our partnership with them, and Dr. Cook, who has been in charge of grants, because in the past, we've actually gone back, because we try to provide a lot of coverage at our school events, and we've said sports a couple times, but I want to it's not just sports. I want everybody to understand that we equally value all the things, and safety at all the things is important. So we try to have coverage at all those. Like if you attend a holiday program, you saw an SRD there. But we actually burn through that money pretty quickly in our partnership with the Sheriff's Office, because we tend to both of us, the Sheriff's Office and us, like to have extra. We always like to have more security there. We've actually burned through that money in the past 2 years quicker than we probably would have liked to. Went back to the Maryland Center for School Safety, who gives us that grant, and asked them, I believe it's Maryland Center for School Safety, whoever the grant giver is, and we've asked them for more. There's been some left over, and so we've actually gotten some left over in the past 2 years. We'll continue to do that. But that money specifically, like you said, has to go back to them, and we are grateful for our partnership with them, and that we've continued if there's been extra money to give us, that we've actually went ahead, asked them, and that we've gotten that extra money in the past couple of years, which has been helpful for them, honestly. We're helping them because we don't pay those salaries, so it's very helpful to them.
Board members, any other questions? Mr. Tolbert, again, thank you for all the whole team for this very thorough budget report. We appreciate it. And there are also, I'm going to get to Dr. Andes in a minute. I'm not neglecting him. And in addition to that, the staff, Mr. Tolbert's available to all of us. If we have any questions, please feel free to reach out to him or his staff, and they will certainly answer any of our questions. Dr. Andes.
I just wanted to thank you, Mr. Fronte. I just wanted to point out that half of the ask right now is $5.4 million. Half of that, 2.7, is the increase in health insurance. So if we didn't have the increase in health insurance, we would be asking for, under this proposed budget, 2.7 million increase on a budget of $140 million, which is not a significant increase or ask. So in essence, what we're asking for is historically we have some areas that need some additional funding. We have a program we'd like to implement, the RISE program, to provide support to our students in the elementary ages and their families. And have asked for some additional help to our bus contractors who are transporting early childhood education elementary kiddos on a bus. So that seems to be an overall of the ask. 2.7, half of that ask is the increased insurance costs. The rest of that ask is to maintain what we have and make some improvements through the RISE program and educational assistance on school buses, and that's the ask right now.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
It's not a question, it's just a thank you, looking at the detailed budget that you guys put together, Vince and Kate. Thank you again. I know it's very, very time-consuming in a sense, and thank you for the homework you've given all of us to peruse, through this. Thank you again.
You're very welcome, and please reach out with any questions to Kate or I. We're more than happy to answer them through a phone call, through coming to my office, whatever you guys need, we're there for you, and ladies need, so. Yeah.
I would also like to say thank you, because he gave me 30 minutes of time last night and probably saved you another 50 questions that I asked last night, so thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah.
No problem. Before we close, board members, any other comments for today's meeting? Mr. Smack.
Vince, your staff, you and your staff, I think doing a very good job.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Smith.
what we are asking for is a very important need. Like Dr. Andy's echo, it's a very important need. $2.some million, not much money, so thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Just some informational items. The next board meeting, budget work session, we have it scheduled, if necessary, for February 3rd at 10 a.m. if it's needed. And our next regular Board of Education meeting will be on Tuesday, February 17th in this boardroom. That will go into closed session probably at 10:30, and then we'll reopen into open session at 12:30, and that will be on the 17th. And now I'll call for an adjournment, board motion. Oh, if needed, we will advise the board.
Okay.
We
So
will.
we don't know now.
We don't know at this point, but we will, if it's needed, we will advise, we will let everyone know, including the public, that we will have another budget work session again, okay? I'll call for an adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Motion and a second. Have a motion by Dr. Andes and a second by Mr. Smack. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you so much.